Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle Films live on a Wednesday night. Guys, I hit that go live button a little late. So maybe take a there we go. We're starting to get some people in there right now. Garnett has the crew behind him, family going there. He's at the mute button, I see. But here we are. Third show, third preseason game coming up. Kind of a coincidence, but kind of not. We started this thing on time. So once again, going to introduce my guest, my co-host, man, the people that hold me down. He started at the bottom square last week. Now he's here. Now he's here. Up at the top with me, the sergeant, the Marine, Mr. Garnett West. Garnett, what's happening, man?
I'm doing good, man. How about you guys? I'm having a well. Let me just finish off the me before I get to you guys. No, I'm just I'm enjoying this week going by pretty fast, man. I love it. Maybe it's just because I'm working, or just because the days are getting faster. I don't know. Time will tell, right? But hopefully, I'm pretty amped, man. Still trying to decide if I'm going to go to Baltimore or not this weekend. If I do go, I will let you know ahead of time, ahead of schedule. Hopefully, we all can have a little fun have a little fun at a shindig, something.
Shindig. Well, hey, we're tentatively scheduled for week 4 against Buffalo, that big game. Garnett planning to come up and crash at the house. Breaking news, Ashley. That should be a good time for not only me but the whole family. Having Garnett up here, we're going to get kicked out by my wife's going to kick us all out probably by the end. But at the bottom, a lady who needs no introduction. I like to refer to her as the second best looking person on the show, next to me, of course, and that is our voice of reason, our conscience, Miss Ashley Priyanka.
Hey guys, how are you?
What's going on with school? What's going on with work? Embracing the grind? How are we doing?
Yeah, I like having a busy schedule. I think that's why my week has gone by pretty quickly too.
Yeah, and we also got with us already, first guy in, flyest football helmet I've ever seen. Got the Oriole bird on there. Don C, Jason Garnett, and the lovely Ashley. What's up, Don C? I already told you, bro. I'm the lovely one around here. All right, that I'm the head honcho here. So any kind of comments about looks, I expect them to come my way. See. So yeah, it always has to be a show without me talking about how great looking I am. But you know who else looked great, guys? One Sunday, that would be Isaiah Likely. 8 catches, 8 targets. He was only in there for 15 snaps. They threw the ball to him darn near every time, and just ended the night with a touchdown. So Garnett, let's start with you, Sarge. Isaiah Likely, man, there's no way we're going to be able to keep him out of this lineup and get regular targets. I would imagine, sir.
Yeah, man. I think he's gonna. I made a friendly wager with our good buddy Jake Vogel. Man, he didn't take him for some oddly weird reason, and the bet was basically 600 yards, 6 touchdowns. And if he gets that, I'll get you a Isaiah Likely jersey. For some reason, he didn't take it. But it's crazy. It felt like I was giving away a jersey. Like, bro, this is easy money for this dude. Like, that's how confident I feel. I think our fan base somewhat feels about him. He has all the qualities to be great in those things. Yeah, okay, I see you. But basically, just get back on schedule on this top part, right? So, yeah, he has all the things. The only thing he has to fix is the blocking, but I think that's going to come in time. We all know what he can do, and they're going to try to put him in the best situation to be successful, man. And holy cow, we saw what we need to see. So I said the best analogy to somebody. It's like watching Vince Carter in the dunk contest back in the day. After the first dunk, we already know who won. So there's really nothing else to show for it. You don't need to see anything else.
Yeah, Ashley, follow him up. What's your thoughts on him and how we can use him in this offense?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We've seen what we need to see, and I think it'd be really interesting to see, what Greg Roman has in store for the offense. He can line up at tight end. He can line up at wide receiver. We knew that going into the draft. So I'm just excited to see how he pans out the rest of the season because he's already looking great.
There you go. And, of course, Yuri is checked in. Nice to see him, Garnett. Need to see you at the bank. So he wants you to drive up from North Carolina to Baltimore to go to a preseason game with nobody playing, no Lamar, no Andrews, the Ravens and the Washington Red Football Team Commanders. Yeah. Good luck on that, Yuri Marshall. I gotta see. I finally I had Yuri on the show. His name's Marshall. Call him Marshall. Now he's here in Yuri, so I don't even know. I kind of messed that up. We also got Tanja B coming in. Miss Bowman. Hi, Tanja. Nice to see you. And check out this guy, Coach. What's up? Everybody's favorite coach, Sip to Tally Films. If you don't subscribe to Sip to Tally, make sure you go ahead and do that. Excellent film breakdowns. One of the originals on YouTube. I mean, I've been watching Coach since before I even thought about starting a channel. Great content. Him, Edgar Allan, two of my favorite film breakdowns. Also, Coach DC, all 22 films. Good friend of mine, too. So we got people checking in, and that is great. So a couple of thoughts on Isaiah Likely. If Coach is here and wants to weigh in, this would be great, too. But I feel like in 2019 is what everybody wants to go back to, when we had Hayden Hurst and Boyle to go with Andrews. But I think Isaiah Likely is different from those guys because he's pretty much a slot receiver. Like, I cannot see him at 240 pounds at the end of the line of scrimmage trying to block TJ Watt. Like, he's not Nick Boyle. So I think that for all that we remember about those three tight end sets in 2019, remember, that was about 6 to 7% of the plays. Really not a whole lot, guys. Like, we remember it because we scored big off of it, but it was only 6 to 7% of the plays. Well, Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews look like two of your best targets to go along with Bateman. So, I expect, Boyle will be on the field or Ricard will be on the field as a blocker with both Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. Garnett, I feel like that those 13 personnels, the three tight end set numbers, are going to go up as far as numbers-wise. Hopefully they can be half as effective as they were in 2019.
Yeah, I think so, too. I think it's going to be somewhat of I think it's going to be more situational based for the 13 personnel, especially, say, if we have a nice, I'll say, a 7-point lead on the team. I think we're going to be leaning on that a lot, especially when we get to in the red zone area. I think that's where it really is going to take a toll on people and really taxing on the defense. And, I'm very curious. I know Nick Boyle has been playing a lot in the preseason, but if I do go to the game, Yuri, and I know that Nick Boyle is probably going to be playing a little bit, I really want to focus in on him and with his blocking. I heard he lost some weight. We all know he worked out with James Harrison, which is cool and all, but I just want to see if I know Greg Roman said he had a silent cheering moment inside that he was watching him, on the field, which is cool. But I just want to see, if it's Nick Boyle or Nick Boyle, basically. And I feel comfortable about the 13 personnel, but I think it's going to be more really heavy situational base with those, especially with the, especially with that involvement, I should say.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, also, we got a Brother Jay shout out there. That's from the family. Miss Connie Ingram. Hi, Connie. How are you? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Connie, giving us a shout out. So, Ashley, do you expect, like Garnett, what did you think about Nick Boyle and the way he moved? Because, I was on with the guys from One Winning Pod, Alec, and one of those guys noticed that they didn't think Nick Boyle was pushing people around like he was. But, man, for me, when I came out the game, I looked at that little stop route he came and the burst off the line of scrimmage and him for turn around real quick and catch the ball. Like, his knee looked a lot better than it did last year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You got it.
100%. And I think him, not throwing people around, that kind of thing, it's more so of a precautionary thing. So I wouldn't be too worried about it in game 2 of preseason.
Yeah, and what I was thinking, Ashley, is, Nick Boyle, obviously his specialty is being able to block some of these big defensive ends, outside linebackers like TJ Watt, like we're saying Likely can't do. So it'd be really great if Nick Boyle could do that. But a lot of these blocks that he does, everybody can picture in their head Nick Boyle in motion, coming across the formation, Nick Boyle up at the second level, blocking a linebacker, Nick Boyle blocking a cornerback. Like, a lot of that stuff, Garnett, it's more relying on movement than just brute force.
And that's right. I think that's why I say I feel somewhat confident, but it's just the finishing part of the blocks. The motions, cool, but the initial force that you're giving and then exceeding to the second level, That's what I want to see, just to see if it's all there. And you know exactly what I mean by that, man. Yep.
Yeah, I do. So we have a Washley. Yeah, I kind of know what this means. It's Ashley, but with a big dub up there, man. So somebody's giving Ashley the dub. She deserves it. She deserves it. So Ashley, what I want to ask you though is Greg Roman. Okay, we all have our gripes. He's an offensive coordinator. It's like being the quarterback or the head coach. You're going to watch the game, and probably a couple times a game, you're going to say some bad words towards each one of those guys because things aren't going perfectly like the way you want it. But Greg Roman does seem to be able to get tight ends involved as good as anybody. The opposite of the wide receivers say. So, are you confident, Ashley, that Greg Roman can get Isaiah Likely the touches he deserves and the touches the offense deserves this year?
100%, and especially when he's going to be accompanied by Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle, things like that. If there's things that Greg Roman can do right, it's running backs and tight ends, and sometimes we do need to give him his flowers no matter how we feel about him, and I'm not concerned about that.
Garnett, any thoughts on that, sir?
I'm right there with her. Right there with Sis on that. It's just I feel like the tight ends are going to be well taken care of. Like that's Greg's Bugattis plural, since we got a lot of promising tight ends at that position. So I have no worries about them being put in great positions to be successful and capitalize on great moments. It's just the receivers, right? I'm not really worried about Bateman, but after that, that's where it gets a little choppy. Where like I said before, just joking around, like we're playing with I can't even call it house money. We're playing with EBT cards right now.
Now, see, Garnett, that's where you get in trouble with me. And I saw you on with Jose and Brodney. Right. And I saw this wide receiver slander. And I even typed in, I think, like, hey, you better, or Garnett, you better defend my guy, Prochet. The Ravens have receivers. It's just there's something different between a Rashad Bateman who can do it all as being the only guy on the team. And we'll talk about the injuries and Prochet coming up later. Another plus for me from this game was my guy, Demarion Pepe Williams. Now, I thought before the season, before training camp, I was on Ken McCusic's show, Film Study, talking about this before training camp started. And I said, if there was one cornerback among all the ones that we drafted, the new guys we brought in, you can count Kyle Fuller, you can count Armour Davis, you can count Ardarius, count all those guys behind Marlon and Marcus. If there was one corner that I wanted to step up, it was Pepe, because when we face shorter, smaller, quicker, faster receivers, Pepe Williams' skill set is perfect for those guys. Like if you got a big receiver, we can cover you. We got Brandon Stevens we can put in the slot. We got Kyle Hamilton we can put in the slot. But what happens when you face a team like the Cardinals who have smaller, quicker guys? You need Pepe Williams to step up, and he has done just that. Through the training camp reports, you always see his name pop up. The first two preseason games, he should have two pick. He finally got one last week. So I'm just thrilled. We saw live up close Brandon Stevens have a little bit trouble hanging with the small guy like Andy Isabella. Pepe Williams all over his dude. Ashley, one of my favorite players. He plays like a Raven, man. He's a little bulldog in there, man. I love it.
I don't want to say I wasn't sold, but I wasn't getting the hype, early on. But after he got the pick, that he should have gotten from week one, I know that was a confidence booster. And he had a lot of the physicality that we were talking about last week that we wanted to see on defense. And I think that's what did it for me. And I'm very excited to see what more he can offer.
Right. And that's my biggest thing. Like, I feel like it's one of I ain't gonna do it.
It's one of those things where?
Yep, one of those things, right? But, I just feel like I felt comfortable of what he was, and I really need reasserted information to see that I was right about him. He just got a lot of mad dog in him, and that's what we're lacking. Other than I say this a lot about the Ravens, the mentality is very lacking. Like we're supposed to be big and bad off of just pastime lineage, and Pepe and Marcus Peters are going to be the heart and soul of that defense. I'm just being how I feel about it. Those guys are going to bark and they're going to show and produce at the same time. So I'm all happy and excited for Pepe, man. He's going to rock.
Yeah, he does. He plays like a Raven. He tackles. He'll come up and smack you. Downhill player. He's got instincts, ball skills, eyes on the quarterback. All those things that kind of like Tavon brought, but he just seems like a little bit sturdier version, a little bit maybe hopefully more durable. Yolanda B. Like I used to be the best looking person on the program. Now I think it might be Yolanda B. Looking awesome down there. And then check this guy out, G. The GOAT himself, Skeptic Goat. The most mysterious man on social media and YouTube, I would say. Wouldn't you agree, Garnett? Like, we know he's big time. We know he's a big time athlete. He's probably
he's up there, man. You hit him up in the DMs, man. I feel like ever since I've been talking to Uncle Skep, man, like just DMIs, just group chats and stuff. Like I already been thinking about football in different ways, but he opens a whole nother dimension of how you would think about stuff, and a lot of critical thinking. And I love him for that.
Yeah, Uncle Skep. Well, I don't know. He might be my younger uncle. I'm not sure, but something about being a player and a guy that returns punts. That's what I'm talking about. He, talk about you got that dog in you. Skep has that dog in him. We also had another comment. From Tanja. Pepe is small. It looked like he got slow to get up on that punt return in that preseason game. I think it's his knee that did. It was his knee. He didn't practice today. Hopefully it's not serious. I agree with you because, we're going to need him. Right on, Tanja. Hoping he's okay and it's not that serious because we're going to need him to play in the slot. They said, we got big receivers. We can cover you. But Pepe is going to be our ace in the hole against some of these slot receivers coming up. So I thought he looked really good. I thought also it was a positive to see Kyle Fuller come up with the interception. And actually, I'm thinking we might not see him this last preseason game, being the vet that he is, that he's comfortable with the defense now. He made a play. Might be a good time to go ahead and just sit him down and get him ready for the regular season because he's obviously fighting with some of those guys for playing time, especially if Marcus isn't ready to start the season.
Yeah, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm really okay with, limiting the amount of snaps or just not having them come in at all, especially after, Jones going out last week and Falele having a scary I don't even want to say the word, scary I word. So I just think that if they limit their play time or if they don't play at all, that's more than okay.
More than okay.
I'm saying I'm right there with her. Like, there's nothing, as much as only thing because I looked at it like this. He didn't really do nothing wrong in the preseason games and the snaps they in. Zero completions every time he was in, basically, or around him. If you wanted to harp on the bad tackling, which is okay, and I do agree on the bad tackling, but everything that when it came from a coverage aspect, he was in the right place, right time. He did his job, did his responsibilities. What more can you ask for a rookie coming in?
Yeah, how about Fuller, though? Like, I wanted to talk about him because he was kind of quiet. And, he got benched twice last year. And it was like, you look at his PFF grades, they were not good. I looked at the film, though, Garnett, and I saw somebody that had some football left in him. And, I think it was obvious he was going to be competing with Brandon Stevens, maybe Armour Davis, Pepe coming in here to see, the Ravens to sort out their cornerback room behind Marlon and Marcus. And it was good for me to see Fuller get that interception, G, because, he's kind of quiet. Haven't heard too much from him, but he looked like old Kyle Fuller. I think he actually came off the guy he was covering to make the interception on the other receiver the Trace was throwing it to.
Yeah. Kyle, I never had any worries. I think I take camp with a grain of salt, or I take just the things that we hear. Only a reporter can only give you so much information. Like he had a bad day, he did this, but you really can't dissect of what's going on unless which they'll get fired and not either lose their passes or whatever. Anyway, but it's just the dude can play ball. It's that simple. Like, yeah, I understand he had a bad going around in Denver, but it was Denver was not really all that what it was up to be, during that time when he was there. You know what I mean? And I feel that he'll be more well protected in our scheme, which our new scheme, with a greater defensive line. Especially the guys that can cause a lot of pressure. It works both hand in hand. Good defense up front creates a great secondary. A great secondary produces a great defense up front. Hopefully, I should say, depending on who you got that's tossing around people up front.
So, Ashley, got Baltimore Raven come in. Good. We're going to have a discussion on Ronnie probably shortly. If we get Ronnie Stanley back to his old self, we'll be formidable and scary to face. Baltimore Raven could not agree more. We also got Ravens Online on Gatekeepers, another great channel to subscribe to. May I call you Hen Dog? I think I shall. What's going on to Hendo over there? Very nice to see. So, man, it's great to have support of the community. Ashley, we mentioned Isaiah Likely. We mentioned Pepe. Just touched on Fuller. Anybody else stand out to you in this preseason game for the good? We'll just say we'll stay on good for a while.
I think at the very end of that game, our Darius Washington really did need that play. And, especially from what had happened in the end zone prior, I think that game-saving play, he really needed that and really needed that to boost his confidence moving forward.
Yeah, right. And another player, I'll say John Ross. No disrespect to Kristen Welch, but I thank you for all that you've done for the Baltimore Ravens. But John Ross is that dude. You might as well just ink him. Like he's the thing that he's the line. Wow, I'm not gonna get so lost in the preseason, but the fact that you're dissecting so fast, like the individual things, like the one-on-one things that we can chop down, dissecting a play, immediately going downhill, and then you're thumping. You're thumping these dudes. So and guess what? He can cover a little bit.
A lot bit.
Yeah, yeah. I was being a little sarcastic, but it's just it's amazing things. Like holy cow! This is these type of guys. I was always be skeptical of the whole nepotism. I'm just throw that out there. The whole John. Mike McDonald, Michigan. We always talk about we always bring Michigan guys or whatever. But I think we finally hit on one. You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah, it's kind of like me and you, Garnett. I mean, we're first cousins. You can tell by how much we look alike. And, I bring my cousin on the show and nepotism, you know what I mean? But you work out and you're a great co-host, bro. So what are we supposed to do? No, Josh Ross, really good one. Ashley, the thing is, I love Christian Welch. For what he's done and what he's done here to become a part of the team, somebody we can rely on to come up and smack people when we were lighting the linebackers. But Garnett, I got to correct you on this, man. His name is Josh Ross.
I thought I said Josh Ross.
No, you're John Ross and him, bro. Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
You're on the John Ross from the Bengals guy with the ran the fastest 40 ever.
Pulled him right after. You're right.
Yes, sir. So we the reason I'm saying this, Garnett, is because I think he's going to stick around. We got to give this man his flowers right now. Call him Josh, because one thing he does that Christian Welch doesn't do, that Malik Harrison can't do, the only one that really can do it is Josh Bynes, and that's cover. That's awareness and zone defense. I mean, we've seen him. They tried to bait him with one receiver across. He would not take the bait. He's just one step ahead on defense. So unlike Welch, Josh Ross has a chance to be a 3-down linebacker in this scheme, Ashley. And you never know how long Josh Bynes has. You never know when Patrick Queen's option would be declined, or so on and so forth. We might need Josh Ross for the long term. He might be the next Zach Orr for all we know.
Yeah, 100%. I felt the same things coming out of last week, and I will be very excited if he does stick around for us.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know if anybody knows this guy, but he's got the best highlights out there. Simply AS10. As a matter of fact, correct me if I'm wrong, Ashley, doesn't he have a chain that says Simply AS10 right here?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, pretty fly looking. Alex, I might have to copy you, get the same thing, but a little bigger and stuff, like Hollywood Brown. What do you think about Hollywood Brown on Sunday night, Garnett? I felt like Hollywood's chains were going 120 on a 55-mile-an-hour body. What'd you think about that, sir?
But yeah, well, nah, man. Shout out to my boy Simply, man. Hey, if you have not, go like and subscribe, or same thing with him and Sudden to Death. They're doing great things always over there, man. Just to plug them up. But yeah,
Yeah.
Josh Ross, yeah, yeah, man. For real though, like I'm excited. I love dog players. I love the undrafted guys. We used to have a streak. Did it stop like last year of just an undrafted guy making the team? Or
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago it finally just ended.
It finally ended, but I think he's going to be the guy that's going to reincarnate it, and I'm down about it. I feel like, hey, Josh Bynes, Josh Ross passed the torch, and then we're good, man. I'll be so happy about that.
No Josh, and Josh is getting some nice love in the comments too. Baltimore Ravens says Josh is nice. See Tanja there. Tanja, she watches the press conferences like me, because I always see her comment, and when I see her on Twitter, sometimes she does it. You got to watch the press conferences, and Tanja speaks hardball like I do, and he said the same thing. And like Garnett said, I am skeptical about the nepotism, especially since the whole Ben Mason fiasco, Ashley. But it looks like we might have hit on him. You know what, Yuri, bringing up a good name too. Mac, Big Mac, Zaya McKenzie, great showing again. He had 2 sacks in the game last year. I'm looking at him and Aaron Crawford, Ashley, as guys who have played so well now, and this is like 2 preseasons in a row, that our defensive line is so deep that we might lose some of those guys, because another team will claim them, put them on their roster. And just to let you guys know, we will be looking at the defensive depth chart coming up here soon, so make sure you stick around for that. But yeah, our defensive line, I would have to say, was one of the stars of the game, actually. Like, depth. We didn't even have Michael Pierce playing. We didn't have Campbell playing. Urban barely played. Travis Jones was a monster. Everybody else behind him was just stuffing up the Cardinals.
Yeah, and to go back to like the nepotism comment, I did feel that way too. I was a little bit annoyed about I just didn't know if the interview process for McDonald was fair, but I think I might have been wrong. I think I might have been wrong about him, and I think that he's going to do great things with all these young guys. I'm not even really worried moving forward. If we were still in the Martindale scheme, I might be worrying a little bit.
Garnett, I'm going to jump in here, because I don't buy the nepotism things. This is what fans like. I want anybody to watch the show to pay attention to this. Mike McDonald was a Raven for 7 years before he went to Michigan for 1 year. The nepotism was on Michigan's part. They're the ones that got the benefit of the nepotism. This man's a Raven. So it's not like we're taking somebody from Michigan, like drafting Michigan players or drafting, you know what I mean? It's not a Ben Mason thing. It's like the reverse Ben Mason. We gave McDonald to Michigan for a year. So I see the nepotism comments, but I just wanted to clarify that Mike McDonald, he's only 35 years old, I believe. He's been here since he was 28, 27 years old. So this guy is growing up in the Ravens organization. So I have a negative or two. Would you like to hear one?
Shoot him.
All right. So I had two actually, and the third one I think deserves its own topic. But Brandon Stevens, up and down. We saw him have trouble with Andy Isabella. He had some good plays. A couple of those times, Andy Isabella was schemed open. So it really wasn't a matter of catching the ball, but Brandon was trailing him by so much that there was a little yak. He had that, penalty out of bounds first play of the game that was unnecessary. And then Dalen Hayes, I'm putting him as a negative, not because he's playing poorly or anything. He's showing some flashes and holding up strong, but because Ashley, last year, man, Dalen Hayes, my stock on him, my personal opinion, was through the roof. I thought this guy was going to contribute, help us with Tyus, and now it's kind of Ashley, Dalen Hayes just feels underwhelming at this point.
Yeah, I can see that, and I do agree with the Brandon Stevens as well. The penalty was kind of annoying, but we just can't be in situations like that, especially moving forward into the regular season. And I wouldn't be too hard on it. I want to see a little bit more before I make, a complete judgment on either of them. I would like to see more.
Yeah. Well, with Brandon Stevens is that, Andy Isabella is a good matchup and a bad matchup at the same time. Just knowing the Andy's a really, really fast dude. And if you're playing off coverage and if you don't trust your technique and ability, I mean, and you panic, you're gonna look real bad. So I want to see a better showing in the Commanders game, and just hopefully, I don't know if they got any speed demons over there like Arizona would have, but I think we understand the level of comfort for him when it comes to speedy guys. So if it comes to those bigger receivers that can move but can't, like a burner, I feel comfortable with Brandon. In my opinion, it's just we know limitations in a way. You know what I mean? We know what's his problem. What would give him fits, I should say.
Right, and it ties back to Pepe Williams, where that's the guy we need on receivers like Andy Isabella. Right. So I got a promise made. I'm bringing it up here. Simply says he is going to get me a Huddle It Up Films chain made for me, so I will hold him to that. Tanja, echoing my thoughts better than me. It's just not what I thought he would be. Like, man, he looks so good all the way through last offseason, and now it's just like we're short on outside linebackers big time. It's like our thinnest position. We're thinner there than we are on receivers, folks. I hate to break it to you, but I mean, we can actually get by with the receivers we have because we have tight ends, outside linebackers, pass rushers. Man, like it's tough to go on there. But yeah, there you go. Spit Jason. I think that means go ahead and talk your thing, right? Is that what that means, Garnett?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, it's simply AS10. So one thing I want to talk about is like the big thing for me. My disappointment wasn't in Tyler Huntley. Okay, Tyler Huntley's name is going to be brought up a lot in this segment, so I don't want you guys to think that Tyler Huntley played poorly. He did. Look at his completion numbers. The man was completing almost every pass. The thing is, in this game, which disappointed me, is we have a wide receiver competition going on, especially with James Prochet still out. Tylan Wallace still out, Duvernay not playing, and our wide receivers actually got a combined total of 9 targets the entire bleeping game. So Isaiah Likely went 8 for 8 in his catches and a half, and our wide receivers throughout the whole game got 9 targets, and that has to do with what? Number 1, Giro and his tight end centric offense. Number 2, Mr. Tyler Huntley, who obviously takes care of the ball really well, really efficient. But the reason there's a difference, the reason why he's a QB2 and not a QB1, nowhere near Lamar's level, is all those things that people tried to say about Lamar. Well, he can't throw it downfield. He can't throw it outside the numbers. That's what Tyler Huntley still has to prove in this league and has to get better at. So, actually, I'm disappointed here. Like, Tyler Huntley was great and we won the game, but I really don't care that we won our 22nd straight preseason game. I would have liked to seen the receivers get more than 9 targets combined. I mean, Polk had 1 and it was on a broken play, Ashley.
Yeah, and that's just what confuses me is how could you watch like the first preseason game as Greg Roman and see what all of these young wide receivers are capable of, especially your Shamar Bridges, your Mekhi Polks. I don't understand how you wouldn't want to try more, how you wouldn't want to keep that going, because it was like night and day, drastic. And it felt very safe. It felt like what we normally do see in the regular season, but that's not what we want to see.
Yeah, I mean, Ashley, how are we going to – I'm sorry, Garnett. I'm just ranting to Ashley again. Like, how the heck are we going to know what we got in Bridges and Polk? If we're not throwing them the ball, like, I don't care if Huntley throws an interception or somebody runs the wrong route or the arm strength isn't there. Like, give me the time and give them a chance to make a play.
And that's what preseason is for. Who cares if there's a pick? Who cares if the whole route, whatever gets messed up, if it's not completed? It doesn't matter. The win streak doesn't matter. As nice as 22 is and sounds, it doesn't hold any weight.
Yeah, and that's my biggest issue is like the conservative route where I'm just gonna competing or whatever. And the best way to put it, when we are gonna throw, or I don't know, we've been throwing the most minimum pass attempts ever since 2019. We threw 409, or the year after that we threw 422 or something like that. We all know it's gonna be a lot minimum throws, right? Attempts. And so let's do the math. If the first year we had Prochet, it was only 3 targets. or whatever, all these things. So let's fast forward to when it comes to these young receivers. There might be put in a time where Shamar Bridges, Polk, or whoever God knows that needs to make a crucial catch on a crucial play. So if we're not trusting and giving them the opportunities now, this is going to be the same fan base or the same group like, oh, man, he sucks or blah, 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 this, that, and then not really think about the context behind it where, yeah, did you watch preseason? Oh, yeah. So you remember week 2, Shamar Bridges only had 3 targets, right? So you're drawing conclusions, trying to put everything together, and you're not realizing the whole facts. It's almost the same stigma. I know a lot of people don't like the name I'm about to say, but Miles Boykin, where we're literally about to. Yeah, I'm sorry. Hold on. We're the same fan base that will literally trash the crap out of Miles Boykin, and then not realize he only had 33 targets in the season. So
it's true.
It's really hard to like assess a player when you don't have enough tape of a player in those situations.
All right, so we got some good comments down here. Yeah, Jeff J. Fox, it was terrible. They made so many mistakes. The one that got the most traction I laughed at was, man, likely he's on the bubble, and here he is making the play. Like, you have one job, Sean Payton. One job. Just talk to somebody on the team. And you could have called in to Huddle It Up Films. I would have told you. Likely's a lock. Likely we're looking at him to see how big of a role he can play on the offense.
Or he was just being funny. He was just being funny, sarcastic.
He was.
I know. I'm just being joking.
So hard to tell, man. Like for all the trouble I give our Homer announcers when it's the local coverage, at least they know what's going on with the team. Everybody sounds like they're going to the Hall of Fame, but at least they know what's going on with the team. Bailey got beats. Hey, Bailey, thanks for coming in. Also, Jason needs beats for his highlights. So if Bailey got beats, Bailey give beats to Jason, and I will link all your stuff there below. Find me on Twitter, man. When I pull it back up, you'll see it. Newbie and Sage, we need to keep Steve Means and Josh Ross. Talked about Josh Ross. Garnett, kicking to you. Mr. Steven Means. I saw him on the strong side, by the way. This may be a good time to bring this up. I feel like we're going to see a lot of 4-man fronts, a lot more than we thought last year. We're going to bring up the depth chart here in a minute, Garnett, but we have a ton. As a matter of fact, let's do it now. Let's bring it. Let's pray that it works this week. Garnett, Ashley, can you see it?
Yes.
I can't see it, man. I'm just messing with you.
Garnett, come on, man. Hey, I get old, bro. I get old. I get nervous. Ashley, can you please tell people do the thing for me right now with the likes and the stuff?
Oh yeah, of course. Don't forget to like the video, turn on post notifications, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. The post notifications is important because we go live every Wednesday night at 8:30, and it'll notify you so you never miss an episode.
Listen to the lady. Just get the like button for us. Get us in that algorithm, whatever rhythm it's called. Get us up there. We're embedded on YouTube or Twitter this time. Hopefully some folks are coming over. One couple of more. Sean Payton was horrible. I feel like he's heading towards like Joe Namath, drunk kind of territory there. I believe this is Ashley's buddy. It's always hilarious when the media gets exposed for not knowing the sport. Yeah, they have one job, man. Like Isaiah Likely, know him. Get to know him, get to love him. There was a bunch of boo-boos. And then Sage, Bridges, Polk, Webb just need the opportunity. Yeah, you know what? This Riley Webb guy, we got defense up now, but this Riley Webb guy, Garnett, I feel like there's something about him. Like, is there an it factor? What am I seeing? It seems like if he's on special teams, he's making a play. If there's one receiver catching a ball downfield, we saw the bomb the first week he caught. Then again this week, it's like Riley Webb. Somebody I wrote off, didn't even think he had a chance to make a roster. All of a sudden, I can see Riley Webb sticking around on like that practice squad and that kind of thing, G.
I'm right there with you. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just saying. I like the route, the separation that he got, and then obviously he did have a long way to go to the end zone, but you can tell that the determination is there where I'm going to fight my way into the end zone. And that's what you like to see out of these undrafted guys, man. Just the dog. You want to see like, hey, every snap counts. I'm going to make the most of every opportunity that I get, man. So I'm right there with good old Raleigh Webb.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like every preseason, a guy surprises you. You know what I mean? My main surprises are Ross, obviously, and Raleigh Webb. Like I expected, likely to be good. Maybe you can call him a surprise because he's been great. Same things with Travis Jones, but yeah, Kirk, man, it's always good to see you, Kirk. I appreciate you. Love you, man. Love the football family. Thank y'all for coming out. And then Ashley, is this one of your friends? Noti's on and
Yes,
retweeted on
yes,
Twitter.
yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Twitter. Do we have a name for this person? Can I give
Yeah,
him or
his
her?
name's Eli.
Oh,
Eli, thanks, bro. Appreciate that. All right,
I just
so
completely butchered that. I thought it
it's
was
Eli. I looked at it again. I know what's going on. It's Eli season, baby.
okay.
Eli season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on Eli, bro. It's his season. So, hey, the defensive depth chart. There you go. Now, whether I think that everybody in the yellow, everybody who's in a color right here, will be kept by the Ravens as far as the handshake deals, to put guys on IR, to come back. So I'm not going to freak out here about who exactly makes it. Like if you're entering your challenge of trying to guess the roster, this sheet isn't for you. I'm talking about the guys we're working with here on the roster. So if you look at this defensive line, Isaiah Mack, as Yuri mentioned earlier, what a player. 2 sacks against the Bengals last year, dominating the preseason. Aaron Crawford, another guy on the defensive line. So we went through that game, guys, with no Calais Campbell, no Michael Pierce. Matabike and Washington and Urban played a token series or two, and we're out of there. So we had, Travis Jones, Mack, Crawford, and the rookie Nichols dominate that game. And I'm afraid that we're not going to be able to keep all of those defensive linemen. But as it relates to our scheme, look at our outside linebackers, bro. This is the lightest I can ever remember it being. And if you look at those guys, Bowser might not be ready. So you have Oweh, Houston, and Steven Means. They're all rush players. They're not dropping into coverage. So when I start looking at the safeties we can put behind them, we're going to want to get Kyle Hamilton on the field. And I look at the guys, the outside linebackers who can't drop in coverage. It screams to me, anybody out there making content, man, say it, whether you say it coming from me or not. I feel like we're going to have a lot of 4-man fronts with a lot of safeties behind it and not so many outside linebackers trying to trick you on the edges. Just put Steven Means up there or Calais Campbell on the edge. Let them go get the passer. Garnett, thoughts on that, man? I'm exhausted after saying everything.
This is the year of the nickel. It's gonna be different type of nickels. It's gonna be your big nickel, your jumbo nickel. Just know there's gonna be a lot of guys for sub packages. Like you're gonna see a lot of for the jumbo. I'm assuming you're gonna see the safeties of Hamilton, or then for the big nickel, you're probably gonna see like Chuck Clark or Tony Jefferson in those packages. Like you said about the 4-man fronts, I truly do see that a lot happening. I think we're not going to try to put these linebackers in a horrible situation to create horrible film, because coaches would not. Great coaches should never do that to a player. And just when it comes to that defensive line rotation, man, I'm with you with the majority. Urban is the trickiest piece to me due to the 6'7" frame that he has and Calais Campbell. Everyone else is like 6'4" or 6'4" now, which is not a problem because a lot of these big old guys got a lot of reach. But I'm really curious about the whole Urban status. And then obviously with the inside linebacker, we all know the 3 that's gonna be locked in. We all agree about Ross over Welch, for special team, and he'll just work his way into the rotation. But back to that outside linebacker, man, you're right on the money with it. Means he's gonna. I'm pretty sure. I feel very confident in him making the team like you have in your colors. And Hayes is like the default shake hand. Like this is where you're talking about the shaking of hands. With Hayes is probably I'm right there with you on that. I don't know how you feel about Jamario Moon or Jeremiah Moon. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, with Moon, for me, Ashley, before you go, Moon was getting blocked 3 to 5 yards off the line of scrimmage by backup tight ends in a preseason game. So for all the pass rush moves, and he was a guy that both Yuri and I liked when we did the the preseason, we went around, talked about the position groups, but Moon's not ready physically to set any kind of edge in the NFL, which is not going to fly here in Baltimore. And then Chuck Wiley, he was like waived reportedly, but then we brought him back for this game because we didn't have enough bodies. So, I mean, really what you see in the colors is what you get as far as the people that are going to be available to us. So, Ashley, what sticks out to you about this depth chart, either good, bad, indifferent? What are you seeing here?
I think our biggest, and really, I'm just excited to see what McDonald can do with all of these players. It's not going to be the same as last year, but the scarcity on outside linebacker is a little concerning, but it should, a few weeks in, I'm not sure, do we know exactly when Ojabo is projected to be back? I know it's a little bit later in the season.
Yeah, well, his is long-term, and we haven't gotten any update, but he actually tore his Achilles on St. Patty's Day. So that's how I've been remembering it. So we've seen guys like Cam Akers come back in 5 to 6 months. There's numerous other examples of people coming back in about 6 months, which is like right after the regular season. So if he's on like the fast track, Ashley, we might see him week 4, week 5. I would say most likely, if you want to be practical about it, you say you have Ojabo at half speed at week 4 and then full speed by maybe week 8, week 9, coming down the stretch. So, I mean, by that time, Ashley, as you know, a lot of people are going to be banged up and hurt. There'll be plenty of spots for Ojabo by then.
Yeah, I think outside linebacker is what we need to keep an eye on and just be aware of. But I'm not really too concerned about all these other guys are more than capable of stepping up when needed, especially on that defensive line.
Garnett, I'm going to give some shout outs here because we have another Ravens YouTuber, Raven C. Man, Raven C, thank you, brother. I appreciate you supporting me. Always like DMing with Raven C because he's got a sense of humor. What's up, Raven C? And he also says, this is kind of a cheap shot, Garnett. He said this chart is, I'm going to say he's going to say this is the best chart I've ever seen. So Raven C says, how y'all doing? I must say this is the best chart that I've ever seen. And it has a burnt toast on it, and it's Seymour LOL. Now, Garnett, the reason I'm taking offense to Mr. Raven C there is Mr. Seymour is like cornerback. I count Ardarius as a cornerback. That's where he was playing again, on Sunday. Seymour as your cornerback 8. Like, hey, man, give the man a break. He's cornerback 8 on this team. We could have worse things going on with the roster, right, Garnett?
I want to agree so bad with you, but
give it to me straight.
I can't, man. Like, it's you know how annoying it's like when you try to shoot bail for somebody, but all you see is just negative reports every time where receiver catches a touchdown to practice, Seymour. Receiver catches a one-hand ball, Seymour. Like it's like hey man, it's gonna get better, and then it keeps on getting worse, man. So, but yeah, you're right. CB8, man. He's just.
So Garnett, you're like trying to say you're like Biggie Smalls' daughter, and Kayvon Seymour is your boyfriend.
Sure.
Look up the story, fellas. Look up the story online. We're not going to elaborate on that. R.I.P. Pac, R.I.P. Biggie, for sure out there. But yes. Kayvon, for cornerback 8, if that's the biggest worry on our team, or your team is great. Unfortunately, it's not the biggest worry on our team. I'm looking at those edge rushers. And man, like a Judon would really look good on that group right now, wouldn't it? Like, Ashley, what about the safety position? I mentioned that if we play, instead of having 2 outside linebackers like we're accustomed to in that 3-4, if we just play 4 big guys up front, instead of having Tyus Bowser dropping half the time and rushing half the time, we could use Kyle Hamilton in that role to cover people and just go at the passers with the front 4. How do you feel about using a 4-man front as a way to get Hamilton on the field more?
I like it, and I like what we've seen from Stone. I'm a Jefferson fan. I think the depth on safety is pretty good. Chuck Clark is hit or miss for me personally, but I think pretty much everyone else I have confidence in that can get it done.
Do you ever notice that, Garnett, that Chuck Clark is a film guy's guy, a coach's guy?
Absolutely, you're always gonna be in the right place, right time. It's like it's the coaching tape. Like you see that safety, You see how he never falls off the pump fake. You see how he keeps his eye on this player, and then he drops back. I mean, that's all he does, man.
Yeah, and I think actually, honestly, we're going to see a really good year from Chuck Clark because he's been asked to play free safety with Deshaun Elliott rotating, and they'll be in the middle of the field, then they'll come screaming back, and you got Chuck Clark in the post, which basically means he's covering sideline to sideline as a safety. That's not Chuck Clark. We got Marcus Williams back there now, and we can put, if we want to Chuck on the back end, he can be in a cover 2 and have a partner in crime back there. Chuck can cover half the field, no problem, man, like any other safety. So I expect a big year from Chuck Clark. Man, look at this, guys. Balti Raven. Almost worth covering up Ashley's face down there. That might alternative plan. But if they're, for $19.99, man, yeah, we can cover up Ashley's face just for a second. We got to get you at the bottom next time, though, bro. Because we're going to cover up a face. It better be your ugly mug, man. Like, we can't have Ashley at the bottom, man. We're going to have to go out the meeting.
I mean, since you're the small guy, you could fit at the bottom.
What? Yeah. These wrinkles, I was thinking about putting on some makeup, but I don't think that would help very much. So yeah. So there's a look at the defensive depth chart. Now we have a hot button issue to get into this week, fellas. We were talking about, and Garnett, I messed up the transition that we planned earlier, about how Tyler Huntley was throwing in between the numbers, all tight end action. Our entire receiver crew only got 9 targets. Their biggest controversy among the Ravens flock this week was comments that Steve Young made on one of those shows. I don't even know if it was ESPN or what. I think he works for. Does he work for ESPN? Does anybody know?
I think it was on ESPN.
He always does the Monday night football, does he?
All right, so yeah, Monday Night Football, ESPN. Steve Young basically saying that Greg Roman's offense and the Baltimore Ravens organization as a whole is holding back Lamar. So I have a long rant that I'm probably going to go on for this. So I'm going to ladies first in on this one. Ashley, go ahead and get us started. The whole Lamar G-Row, everything that you heard, everything that you saw on social media being said, Ashley, about Lamar Jackson and about Greg Roman. What are your thoughts on this? We need to know.
All right, so I texted you and I said this was very reminiscent about earlier this year, Carson Palmer had come out, and he's the former Bengals quarterback, talked about how when Joe Burrow signs, he's going to be thinking about, going to another Super Bowl. This can't be it for him. And he's going to be watching what the organization does for him moving forward. And he got completely trashed by Bengals fans, by all of that. Everyone called him bitter, said that he was just upset with the organization, and that's why he said that. And why that reminds me of it is because that's what I saw so many Ravens fans doing to Steve Young. And Steve Young didn't even play for the Ravens and all that. But he was, in his time, he doesn't hold a candle to Lamar in terms of being a mobile quarterback, but he was considered a mobile quarterback. So him saying all of that, I know that because I saw a lot of people saying he has had problems with Lamar. He's thrown shade at Lamar in the past, which I really didn't hear that. He was in full support of Lamar. But I feel like our fan base, we get really defensive, protective, whatever you want to call it, when he criticizes an organization, when he criticizes a coach or a scheme or something like that. But everything he said was spot on. He said Lamar is doing what the Ravens want him to do. And he has a very high ceiling that he's not reaching. He can do more somewhere else. And I don't think there's anything wrong with him saying that. He was completely right. And I'm sure Lamar is thinking that when he's signing, when he's doing these negotiations with a contract, and he has every right to.
It's a lot there, Garnett. Go ahead, my friend.
No, it was just I think it's the consistency of pro athletes all being on the same tune. That's one thing. And I know this is our team. I know some people are very are Ravens way type of people, and there's nothing wrong with being that way. But it's just the line of just so many people that have either played for the organization, coach for the organization, or just potential Hall of Fame players and Hall of Fame players are all on the same sheet of music. So this dates back when the pass game coordinator / receiving coach David Culley, he said something on the podcast on Huddle and Flow with the dude, I can't think of the
Steve Weiss.
Steve Weiss, right? And I remember listening to that a couple times, and he wasn't like, this is how I know it's sincere and what he was saying. He wasn't trying to diss the organization. And then obviously Hollywood said what he said, which is, like I said, everybody's on the same sheet of music. But the main thing, what it stuck to me was like, once they unleash him and like teach him more better, you're gonna want him to run the ball. You're gonna want Lamar to actually run out of the pocket because you don't want him to be throwing the ball. So I think that's the biggest thing that I see from everybody, from the Kurt Warners, from the Steve Youngs, from obviously Steve Smith said what he said, but it was more about just the Greg Roman ordeal. But there's so many players that stuck out. You know, Dez Bryant. I know some people are real salty about Dez Bryant, but it's their opinion. Like, and I'm in a mix where I'm going to respect anybody's opinion, but like this, Ashley, say if you was a mechanic, and then I got Jason over here. There's something wrong with my truck. Jason telling me there's something. Hey, yeah, your truck is okay, and then I come to Ashley like, hey, you're going to need a new alternator. Who am I going to listen? Exactly. So it's like one of the things where I'm going to make my own decision off of everybody's opinion. But if I have nothing but pro athletes saying the same thing, and two of these guys are Hall of Famers, and then another one's a potential Hall of Famer, what is there? And they're articulate. That's my biggest thing. This is not like no Joe Schmo, a quarterback that's Sandy thing. That's my biggest problem from the angle. Like I say, if you agree with them or don't agree with them, I just respect it and just move on from that. But
yeah, it's Garnett froze up there for a second, so I was just going to take the torch from you. Sounded like you're winding down anyway. Yep. I love what Ashley said about so when Torrey Smith says something, when Steve Smith says something, when Des Bryant says something, when Hollywood Brown says something, it's considered sour grapes. RG3 says something, I don't know if I said it's considered sour grapes, being an apologist to Lamar, being too sensitive to any kind of, Lamar's the best and all this other stuff. But when Steve Young says it, he has no skin in the game. And you're right, Ashley. He was hard on Lamar. Like, Lamar won him over as a passer. He was one of those people the first year where everybody was saying, oh, Lamar's going to be a great passer, where Steve Young was like, I need to see it. I need to see him go outside the numbers. Like, Steve Young was one of those guys. And actually, I think you undersold Steve Young a little bit as a mobile. Like, I'm old enough to remember. Garnett, maybe. Like, he had Jerry Rice in his offense with another John Taylor, I believe, was still there. T.O. was there with him. He had all these, like, Hall of Fame type, great tight end and Brent Selleck and everything. West Coast offense. So think, Ashley, of like this quick passing offense with all these stud receivers. And he was still up there, like, among the league leaders in scrambling and rushing yards for a quarterback. Like, he was that darn good. Like, he was an athlete for his – nobody compares to Lamar, but for his era in the 90s, he was like A-plus mobile quarterback. So, I saw some discussions about how Steve Young doesn't study the Ravens. Steve Young knows what he's talking about. Let's not front here. And, I get a little in the mix with the Lamar controversy because, look, Garnett said a lot of people are in love with the Ravens way. I love the Ravens way. I do, because as much as we complain about wide receivers, if you're a tight end, you'll come here. You'll come here for cheap. Offensive lineman, you'll come here and shine. Anybody on defense knows this historic defense. So it's simply the wide receivers, and then we're going to have to pay our quarterback maybe a little bit more to get him to stay here in this system, which to me is fine. You pay your quarterback what he's worth. You pay receiver or draft receivers instead of paying them, and then let the rest of the pieces come to you. But as far as Greg Roman, I don't sit here every week, guys, and complain about Greg Roman. Dude, he's the coordinator. He's got organizational backing from Bisciotti to Harbaugh all the way back. It is what it bleeping is. Would I have moved on to from Greg Roman? Ask Garnett. He'll tell you. 2 years ago, after 2020, I wanted to move on from Greg Roman because what I feel like is Greg Roman is great for any rookie quarterback who comes in and starts out. Why? He's got to give you a good running game and play to his defense. Why? He's going to scheme tight ends open. What's the friendliest targets for new quarterbacks in any system? They go to their tight ends. You know what I mean? The rookie quarterbacks have that relationship with their tight ends. It takes time to build on the receivers. So, I mean, I've been wanting to get this off my chest. Like, if it was me, I think Lamar has graduated from Greg Roman. We need to move on with all that crap, because if you have Lamar as your quarterback, you have the Ravens' philosophy of wanting to run the ball and play defense, and then you have J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, and we put an emphasis on the running back position too. Guess what, Ashley? You're going to be able to run the ball. You don't need Greg Roman to come in to run the ball. Why are we bringing in T. Martin and Keith Williams? So we can enhance the passing game. That said, you're not going to hear me complain about G-Row every week. It's just not that kind of show. We're given what we're given with. But yes, I do think Greg Roman holds Lamar Jackson back 100%. That said, the season isn't lost. We can absolutely win a Super Bowl with Greg Roman. We've seen how productive Lamar Jackson's our quarterback. You give him time and play defense, we can win any game. So, rant over. I'm going to go ahead and take a drink here and throw it to you, Ashley.
And going back to like how we were saying, Steve Young, Kurt Warner, it's Phillip Rivers, both of the Manning brothers. Tom Brady said Lamar was next when he fake retired. Aaron Rodgers was on Pat McAfee's show a few years ago saying Lamar is going to figure it out. Once he does figure it out, he's going to be unstoppable. So it's people focus way too much on the Des Bryants and Steve Smiths of all that, but they're not paying attention to everybody else who is giving Lamar his flowers. And I think the organization should be listening to that as well and realizing what you have at quarterback. He is a generational talent. We're never going to see something like this, or at least not for a long time. We're not going to see something like this. And I wish they would act a little bit more like that, or at least we don't know everything. So they could be. I don't know what the contract talks are. I don't know. So I'm not going to be too hard on them. But just this week and Steve Young's comments and kind of the reactions, it did kind of annoy me.
Yeah, just to let's put this all together, we can somewhat finish because I think we're not going to have a whole season talking about Greg Roman unless Greg Roman just wets the bed consistently or whatever. This is Greg Roman's last year on the contract, so I think a lot of people somewhat forget about that. He had the line, street clothes Stanley. That's what I'm going to call him. So like I said, he put on pads, but until he put on some clothes that are made for a football field. But we got all these pieces. We got mad depth at the tackle. We're still trying to figure out the left guard, but we got center. We got right guard, obviously, and Zeitler. We got tight ends for days. So and that's what he needs, right? That's what whatever, right? We got Bateman out there, and then we'll figure out what we got with the rest of the receivers, right? Good running backs from top to bottom. This is right now or never for Greg. That's how I look at it, man. So that's why I'm very. When it comes to the whole Greg talk, I say that part and I just leave it alone, man. This is it. This is it. So the next thing that we'll see from here from week 1 to week 17 or hopefully beyond, hopefully we'll get to where we need to be. I might not be as high as everybody, unless I see certain things from the receiving core that I need to see, just somebody take his next step, I say we're going to be, a wild card team, maybe it would be a divisional round team, maybe, hopefully, but it really depends on you don't think so?
I don't think you can say that, Garnett. You got to see what the rosters are, who's healthy, who's not. You cannot I don't like that. It's impossible. That'd be like me saying when I'm 80 years old, I think that I'll be a doctor. It's that's way too long from now.
But are we? I did this last year, and I said the same thing. We finished where I thought.
No, well, what I'm saying is this year or last year, you probably would have said we're a divisional round team. That's it. But by the end of the season, we weren't going nowhere. We weren't going to win a playoff game. So.
Yeah, but you can already have an idea of what we're going to be, though. You know what I mean? It's it just, I'm going to keep it real. That the optimism with me, that's where I think a lot of us were. It's we're right here in the middle. We're not over and we're not below. It's just. We have an idea of a perception of certain players and the capabilities. And we have an idea of, of what gets us to the next level. And it's like I said, if you was to tell me we added one more receiver that's literally on the same level as Bateman, if not a little bit better, I'll say Super Bowl right now.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's like the comfort level of the whole situation.
Yeah. See, I'm really tough on that stance. Like I feel like you got Lamar Jackson and a good O-line. You can win this week too, no matter who it is. So I kind of wait until I get in that, like, what's the end goal until like middle of the season. I want to go to some of our commenters down here. It's been a little bit. Burton, thank you, Burton. Huntley only miss was a long pass. He just doesn't have it. Takes a little bit to develop, but yeah, we'll see it. I mean, he frustrated the heck out of Hollywood last year, and we had to start using Hollywood old bubble screens because we were getting missed a lot. Tanja, thank you for your comments. Really appreciate it. I absolutely agree with Steve, and Ashley was spot on. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who agree with Steve, and I think a lot of the people who didn't, like Garnett said, are just very protective of their Ravens, one of the best organizations in sports. I don't have any problem saying that. I love the way the Ravens are run. There are things that I wish they would do different, sure, but you go ahead and follow some other sports team, you're going to have a problem with just about any of them. You know what I mean? You don't always get your way. Baltimore Raven, thanks again, bro. I really appreciate that. Pay Lamar ASAP. Today's price will not be yesterday's price. Garnett, do you have something, bro?
No, I was just laughing at. I thought it was pretty spot on, man. Hey, so now I'm never gonna give it that. It's a whole nother episode, man. I'll leave that alone.
All right. Very true, Ashley. I admit I was saucy at first, but he wasn't being any way towards Lamar. Talking about Steve Young, Steve Young did. He's an honest person. He's not one of those ex-players who tries to cater to ex-players. If anything, Steve Young's a little extra critical because he thinks once things done his way, he could be one of those old school dudes who's kind of like a little bit of a hater. But Steve Young's not there yet, man. He's kind of in the middle. And, when he says something, he's very good at saying it. Yeah, Joey Crack. I don't know what to feel about that comment right there. Giro does underachieve in the playoffs. Giro fails to adjust when things don't go our way. Ashley, what do you got to say to our friend Newbie and Sage over there?
Yeah.
I knew it was coming.
You summarized all of our thoughts. We're not Greg Roman haters, but I'm not an apologist by any means. But I do think moving forward, it's a combination. It's a combination of front office. It's a combination of coaching. It's a combination of Greg just being the way he is. So,
and you know what I want to say too, Lamar ain't been perfect in these playoffs either. All right.
No.
So one thing you're going to get with our show is honesty. Y'all, you just heard me go on and on about how much I love Lamar. To me, Lamar presses too early in these games. That's when I cuss at Lamar. When we're on a good drive and he wants to force one in the end zone in Pittsburgh and throw a pick and, take away 3 points off the board. It's like, Lamar, calm down. You're Lamar Jackson. Once you get in the groove, that's all it takes. But yeah, Scat weighing in. It is the Ravens' way more than Roman's way. He is the hired gun to execute their plan. I agree, brother.
Yep.
And we all agree with you. What I'm saying is, if you want to run the ball, instead of getting the greatest run game coordinator of all time and one of the worst pass game coordinators of all time, can't we get somebody who's like good at running the ball and great at passing? Like, can't we get some balance in there? Like, yeah. And of course, Garnett, I have a feeling that's going to catch on. Old Ronnie, Street Clothes Stanley. Yeah, it's like 70-year-old doctor. I don't think I'd be a surgeon though, bro. Like with my epilepsy, I'm shaking off already. So, that's simply AS Steve Young, get off my lawn, Young. Yeah, man, Steve Young, dude, he was a really good player. Garnett, talk about Steve Young, the football player, real quick.
Yo, so so a lot of people don't remember, Tampa Bay Steve Young at all. You know what I mean? Like that. Like the dude was like, all right, so he was I call it the new age Fran Tarkenton. If you don't know who Fran Tarkenton is, go on, just go on YouTube and look it up, man. Get off my lawn. You saw that?
Yeah, get off my lawn.
Yeah. Yeah, but he was like the new age Fran Tarkenton, man. It's very mobile. You gotta think he was left-handed, so that already threw off the game. Like it really it put a lot of pressure on defensive ends. Like you had to be committed to staying home and then reading your keys. If not, you didn't know what the hell was going to happen. So, man, Steve Young, man, I remember like the one run that he did against the Minnesota Vikings. and like where he stumbles into the end zone, like that play is like literally self-explanatory of Steve Young. If not, you can go look it up on YouTube. But very just fluid, just a fluid athlete, just all around. And the craziest part about it, in high school, just you can look it up on YouTube or I think where he explains the story of how he wasn't even playing quarterback in high school until hey, go play quarterback, man. So that just shows how athletic he was back in this time.
All right, Garnett, can you be quiet for a second? Because we got some things that warm my heart here, okay? So keep it shut for a second, all right? Jeez, these Marines, I tell you, they could kill me in 7 different ways, but look at this, Garnett.
Nice.
Pretty sweet, huh? Yolanda B. Thank you, Yolanda. I love when you watch my videos. I love when you comment. Brings a smile to my face. Thank you. No, thank you. We really appreciate it. And then, I don't know who this is playing. Yo, skinny guy on the top left. Okay. It's getting personal. Digging your haircut. Thank you. Thank you. In fact, I'm planning on getting the exact cut. Could you show me the back real quick and a little bit of your lower neck? Thanks. Go Ravens. I don't know. Like somebody asked Ashley like that, I might have to kick him out the screen. But I mean, I'll sell my body for the show. I ain't too proud. So the back. You want to see the back? What back should I show him, Garnett?
Oh no! Hey yo!
Yeah. How's that? Are we good?
All right. Yeah, just drop it low. There you go. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm digging it. I'm digging the fade, brother.
Yeah, for another $50, I'll show you the true back. Whoa, hey, no, let's not do that. No, but yeah, skinny guy at the top left, man. That is me. I proudly. I should put that instead of Huddle It Up Films right there. I should put skinny guy at the top left.com up there. So what? But wow, man, the donations. That's really, really, really funny. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the comedy there. Balti Raven, my friend, man. Ed Reed, by the way, my favorite Raven. Okay, now I know a lot of people say Ray Lewis, and a lot of the younger people now it's going to be Lamar Jackson. Ed Reed was that guy for me because to me he was a leader just like Ray, like a serious leader. Like I get like Ray's speeches, I can hear them. Ray's speeches are iconic. I got a Ray Lewis signed jersey that some guy sent me. I love Ray Lewis, so I always touch the statue and give him the little when I'm out front of the stadium. But when Ed Reed talked, it just raised the hair on the back of my neck that I got cut off in my recent haircut. So yeah, Balti Raven, though. I love Ed Reed. He is just my favorite Raven of all time. Ashley, favorite Raven of all time. Here's a curveball at you.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. I don't have one. I have multiple.
Multiple.
Yes.
Just simply know this.
Yeah. Well, he knows. So I'm not one of those like Flacco truthers who wants the Jets to win week 1. I'm not a weirdo, but I did have a really big crush on Joe Flacco, and I simply knows I still kind of do. Right. Not enough for him to win week 1, but
yeah, Jersey Joe, January Joe. Garnett, favorite Joe Flacco nickname?
What's up?
Favorite Joe Flacco nickname? What do you call him? Jersey Joe, Joe Cool, January Joe? What is it?
I don't know, man. I always just called him Joe, man. I never had a nickname for the dude, bro. Like, Joe was like a toxic relationship in my eyes, man. I'm sorry. It was like sometimes I love him, sometimes I hate him. You know what I mean? He was the ups and downs brought me to that. But I can tell you my favorite Joe Flacco moments. I can tell you that. Ain't nothing like watching Joe Flacco do a play action. And when he does that crow hop, it's over. Like, you know what I mean? Like he steps into that mother sucker. Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Mother sucker. I like that, bro.
I'm trying my best not to curse on here, man.
So Eli, it's your season. Love Ray growing up. Obviously, bro. Ray. Balti Raven, Ed Reed. Yeah, we're on the same page, bro. I love the black Ed Reed jersey. Yuri, Ladarius Webb. Now, is he trolling? Yuri, I believe you, bro. I believe you because Ladarius Webb was fan favorite. Like, I love that man. I always wonder what he can. Now Eli's going to show off and say, Matt Elam, get that off my screen. Get that off my screen. Brandon, Suggs for me, always wacko for Flacco because I followed him from Schittsburg during spring practice. But Yonda and Suggs, my all-time favorite. Quick story here. T-Sizzle changed the way I watched the game, Ashley. Garnett knows this. He's heard this story. But when I started watching football, I'm like everybody else. I watch the ball, watch the quarterback, this and that. And I was, more into film study and that kind of thing. But when Suggs was in the game making his impact, I started every play by watching Terrell Suggs because he impacted every play so much that it was like, okay, is Suggs going to move the quarterback off his spot again? Or are they actually blocking Suggs this time where I can start looking at other places? So Terrell Suggs, the last I think of the old Ravens, I feel like. But yeah, that's my story. Yeah, go ahead, Garnett. Carry.
I never told. So like mine is Ed Reed. That's probably my favorite. But like low key, like my favorite like players. Like I don't know how to put it like this. Something about Bart Scott, man. Like his personality. It when you think of a Raven, that's what I think of. Like it just, hey Chad, get on there. Don't talk to him. Like you know what I mean. That like that whole person. Like,
yeah.
Like I remember he was on ESPN one time. He was talking about with Ryan Clark about the rivalry, and he explained it so well that it made me like, man, where's my helmet? Like I could tell like him and he rubbed off a Ray, but he had his own personality where he didn't talk. He didn't take no slick crap from nobody. Like and that's what I loved about Bart Scott.
Yeah, the Mad Backer, and the story that I always remember about Bart is he would think of something before every game to get him fired up, like the literal water boy. Like, right. Maybe his fourth grade teacher told him he'd be nothing when he grew up, and that's what he would be thinking about all game as he was trying to rip the head off of other men. Yeah. We all think bad about Bart Scott because, let's face it, he's a little out there these days, but you wanted that dude on your side. Oh, man. Now, this guy right here, Sutton Def, for you don't know, he is partners with Simply AS10 on the Purple Rain podcast. Check it out. Give them a plug. I was on their show. But yeah, Sutton Def, and I don't usually get jealous, but when I do, it's of Sutton Def's voice. If I had Sutton Def's voice, bro, I'd be a millionaire by now. You know what I mean? Why isn't he doing voiceovers? Why is he covering the Ravens? I don't get it. So Sutton Def, yeah. Is that who we got a picture of? Sixers down there. Not sure if that's. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. We're getting some. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
You got something on your face right here. A little drool when you was talking about Sutton, bro.
Oh yeah. At least you said drool. All right. At least you just said drool. Derek Mason up there for me. See, I loved it. Like favorite players don't mean best. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people. If Ray's your favorite, yeah, that's great. If Ladarius or if Ed Reed's your favorite, yeah, great. They're all-time greats. But I love hearing like non-all-time greats, non-Hall of Famers. Check this guy out, Garnett. Coach DC at all 22 films. Gave you a big shout out earlier, Coach DC, you and your channel. He's got some thoughts on the Greg Roman stuff. Go ahead and check out his. Now, Coach DC might hurt your feelings now because he will take up for Greg Roman and his system. Chris McAllister. Yeah, man. What if Chris McAllister was healthy and took care of his body? He could have been one of the best ever. Ed Reed and Ray, of course. Yeah. There's some just great suggestions here. I know we kind of got a little bit off topic. Jamal Lewis, Peter Bolware. See, Bailey got beats. Old school, bro. I love it. Make sure you send me some beats. Yeah, man. Just some great.
All about the football family, man. I love this moment right here.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, man. It's tough. It's just tough kind of picking one, man.
Yeah, what I was gonna say was I don't want to seem like, what do they call them? They call them La Ravens fans, like people who jumped on because of Lamar. But because I'm from Florida and in Graven, he's always about the Florida Ravens. We all saw Lamar get famous off of that Vine when he was in high school. So we knew him like going into Louisville and we followed him. So for him to end up on the Ravens, because I was a Ravens fan just in Florida. So for him to end up here was just really special. So I think by the end of his career, he's definitely going to be my favorite Raven of all time.
I mean, he's just so special, Ashley. Like you said, we might never see anyone like him again. I mean, agreed. It's just there's nothing like him compared to the other players that we've seen. He can do it all. I mean, yeah, he's the best running quarterback I've ever seen. And but unlike the other great running quarterbacks, this man can read defenses and make any throw on the field. Michael Vick had the dusty playbook in the trunk. Like Michael Vick was an inspiration and a trailblazer to a lot of people. So I'll never take that away from Mike Vick, even though I'm a dog person. That kind of stuff hits me hard. But like Lamar's the opposite. He's a gym rat, man. He's getting better every year. Really focused in on his craft, and he's got skills like no other. So I don't need to throw shade at nobody else just to say Lamar is one of one. There's no doubt about it. Well, I want to move on to a topic because we've been freestyling a little bit here. Garnett goes commando all the time, so it's no different from him. Demarcus Robinson, Ashley, kind of I want to say like a Raven killer, not really, but he always seems to come up with big plays against the Ravens.
He's a Marlin killer.
He's a Marlin killer. Yeah, you know what? You and Marlin got to patch things up, Garnett. I feel like
I'm just keeping it real. Man.
But what I was going to say is, like, people see Demarcus as a speed guy. He only a 4.59 guy. So his 40 time is that of like Mark Andrews. But it goes to show you that being a downfield threat, Ashley, isn't all about speed. It's about how you get open, leverage, and your catch point. What do you think about Demarcus Robinson, and what should we expect from him as Ravens fans now that we have him on the team?
I really like this signing, and I'm a fan. I noticed his hands overall, everything. He has great hands, and I know people were expecting like an Odell or a Julio in free agency, but Demarcus doesn't have that like that wide receiver one mentality. Like he wants all these targets. I feel like he'll settle into our offense really well, especially with Bateman developing as that, hopefully, that wide receiver one.
Yeah, I'll just jump in right after that. So I don't have a actual connection with him, but I do. Being in Georgia, South Middle Georgia football, whatever. The dude rewrote some of the record books at Peace County High School. Had a weird. He was good at Florida, but he had a couple problems before. I ain't gonna talk about a man's past because that's just weird. But like I'll talk about when it comes to like him. What I seen him in high school do was out of this world, and it literally translated, from Florida to here in the pros. But always a big hands catcher, always know how to catch away from his body. Catch radius is nice, and that's what we've been lacking in Baltimore for quite some time. Obviously just having Bateman now, but I feel we'll see what can happen, man. But this is like one of those same old type of signings that we do every year when it came to like just get a veteran. Hopefully it works out. But the one thing I do like about him that he is healthy, so we don't have to worry about the whole hurt, missing games ordeal like we had to do with Watkins.
Yeah, he seems like from the team he came from to the skill set, he seems a lot like Sammy, but his track history is a little bit better as far as staying on the field. A lot bit better. I was trying to be nice to Sammy there, but we saw when we had Sammy last year, Lamar used him for some big plays. Those deep crossing route. If Coach DC from All 22 is on here, he can vouch for me in the comments. Like Greg Roman took this passing game to another level early last year. It was a lot different in the concepts you saw from the deep crossers, the deep overs, like the route late in the Detroit game, for example. We were calling those in the middle of the game. We're hitting Bateman on a few. Like Demarcus Robinson can handle those kind of routes. The problem last year is the offensive line was so beat up that we couldn't really call anything deep without getting our quarterback banged up in the pocket. And then eventually that came back to haunt us. Garnett and Jake and I were on here every week. Where's the short passing game? Can we get some James Prochet in there just to hit some little 8-yard slants to get Lamar in a rhythm so he's not on his back the second play of the game every game, trying to make stuff happen downfield? We never saw that. But the passing game did take a step forward last year. You could tell Lamar Jackson was leading the league in air yards, and his completion percentage was actually higher than it was the year before. So hopefully, Ashley, Demarcus Robinson helps us bring some of that back with the big playability.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people forget too is I just saw this. Lamar just finished his despite getting injured, he had a career high of average yards per game, passing yards per game. So you're
There you go.
absolutely right about Roman.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to bring Coach on here. Yeah, Coach, you see, he's saying the likely pun. Love it. They were most likely introduced by T. Martin. And by the way, Coach is going to have a video premiere after this. It's something that I want to tune into because Coach always teaches me something about the X's and O's. A couple of more videos or comments I want to get to. Alec talking about the half wink, Garnett. We don't have to worry about that anymore. No half wink, full wink, no wink. Wink is at the Giants, and they will live and die by his blitzes like we did.
I don't know, man. We have to see, man. We'll see. We will see.
He's going to blitz the heck out of us in Lamar, isn't he? Like every single play, the Giants. Give Bridges another year, our solid number 2. Yes, to Bateman, our number 1 finally. We finally got a number 1. Just wait. Raven Slot going to party like 2019, but more epic with a Super Bowl win. Brandon DeShields, from your lips to God's ears. Is that how you say that, Garnett? Did I get that right?
I believe so.
All right, good. We're going to keep going on. A lot of great comments. Hopefully these things pop up this time. Did you notice that the last video, it took a while for our comments to pop up? So if you're watching this, come back in a couple of days and watch it again. And you see all the great comments that are being made. So, Garnett, did you get your feelings out on Demarcus Robinson signing? Any final thoughts on him before we move on?
Man, we'll see what it is, man. It's like skipping a rock in the water. We'll see how many skips we can get out before it hits rock bottom. If not, we get to the other side. You know, I'm a little bit biased that I want to see my hometown guy do great things. We really got it's pretty crazy. So Demarcus Robinson, like I say, he's from there, from my area. Bateman's from my area, and it's Lamar Bridges. He played college football in my area, so it's like Middle Georgia Ravens out there. So I'm happy, man. I got a buddy of mine that's a sports reporter from back home, real big time, and he's trying to see if he can put something together where they can have all three, talk about, them making it and coming up in our area. So hopefully that'd be pretty cool to see. But back to the Robinson thing, yeah, man. I hope the best for anybody that's on my team, man. It is. I might seem like a Debbie Downer or a gloom doom or whatever you want to call it, but hey, I hope the best for the best.
So for me, Ashley, I'm thinking like this. Like I disagree with Garnett on this one because I feel like we know what we're getting from Demarcus Robinson, Garnett. I mean, he's not Odell or whatever, and we know that. He's not a bum either. We know that. Like he'll help us, and he doesn't have this extensive injury history, which bugs me about the Ravens, is they sign and draft players that have been injured. They miraculously hope they get better at the NFL level. I just don't believe in that. I think there is, like, injuries are luck driven, like bad luck, like Ronnie's. There's nothing he could do to prevent that. It was bad luck. He got rolled up on. But players who get hurt and miss games, they usually don't turn that around and miraculously be a durable player. I think there is something to do with injury prone that you see in every sport. Some guys just get banged up and need to miss time. So yeah, like Demarcus Robinson, steady guy, steady skill set. I think we'll find a way to use him, and it will give us somebody dependable if like the worst happens. You know what I mean? If we have the I word, as Purple Rain Gang calls it, and as Ashley referred to it tonight, the I word hits, Demarcus Robinson can kind of hold this thing together with some level of respectability, Ashley.
Yeah, and I actually liked what Brandon brought up earlier, is give Shamar Bridges a little more time, and that's a wide receiver too. I like that. And also, Mr. Yuri down there says wide receiver 4 in Kansas City is wide receiver 2 here. So maybe if Shamar Bridges turns out to be who we hope he is, then Demarcus Robinson will be that wide receiver 3 clutch guy.
Right. Yeah. And my whole point, I know you push back against it, but it's like I said earlier, when you already have an idea or knowing what you're getting, I'm not saying we know he's not a needle mover, but the fact of how I'm thinking of this team, we need one more needle mover to feel like a Super Bowl contender. That's the whole thing. I know he's serviceable. We all get that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something, if you missed earlier, Garnett and I disagree on. I think this team is absolutely a Super Bowl contender. They can win the Super Bowl. There's a reason their odds are like between seventh best or ninth best. You tell me they're the seventh to ninth best team in the NFL. All right. That sounds fair to me. Like I think our first goal, Garnett, the way I look at it, is win the division, beat Cincinnati. And Ashley, you're in touch with social media and everything out there. What the heck with these Bengals fans, bro? Like they went from the team I felt sorry for because they reminded me of the Orioles with the bad owner and the orange and black colors to now I just hope we smash Joe Burrow in his mouth and the receivers in there. We knocked the you know what out of them this year, Ashley. Is that being too emotional, ma'am?
No, because like I brought up, I don't think I actually said it earlier when I was talking about Carson Palmer. He ended up being right because of the whole Jesse Bates situation, which is exactly what he said. But nobody went back and apologized or whatever. They were like disowning him as their quarterback when he was more than serviceable for them, and he was one of my favorites growing up. So I got a little protective over what he was saying. So
yeah, Carson Palmer used to frustrate me, Garnett. Like that one particular Bengals comeback I was at in the upper deck and got to watch Chad Johnson at the time, Ocho Cinco, and Hoosh just tear us up and rip our hearts out. Left the stadium angry man. So yeah, man, these Bengals fans are on my nerves, though, G.
Yeah, for me, they're not on my nerves. I feel like they got bragging rights. They can say what they want to say. It's like you keep on poking the bear, you keep on flaunting, you keep on doing whatever. But at the end of the day, man, hey, whenever we play them, like the first week, it's
I want to say week 5. I want to say week 5, bro.
Week 5, like that's what I'm saying. It's like you just okay, you know what I mean? That's the type of action you gotta have, man. They can talk all the smack all they want, man, because they got rightfully so. But when week 5 come around, all I'm gonna do is just smile when the score. If we're winning and we win, if it's a blowout, I'm like, hey, how you doing, bud? That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't say anything to them, but I sit here at home and I'm like, yeah, these guys are the ones I got my eye on this year. Congratulations, Bengals. You used to be an afterthought. I used to feel bad for you. You did well. Now I'm out to get you. That's when, just for me on my couch, that's how I'm feeling. Baltimore Raven with a question. We'll start with Garnett on this one. Where do we rank in passing 2022? Bottom 10, top 20, top 10. So, Baltimore Ravens given all the stats. I would just say, Garnett, give it to me in terms of passing yardage. And then, how would you rank us as far as our overall efficiency? Because passing yards doesn't tell the whole story when you're, when you're talking about how good your passing offense is.
Yeah, I say passing yards. I think we'll be in the middle of the pack. Well, somewhat close to the middle of the pack, but on the back end of the middle of the pack, maybe by 20, 21, somewhere around there. This is not for us. With how we do business or how we think we're going to do business, it's not going to be bad. But it's all about efficiency, man. For us, if I think of how it's going to go. So you said so passing yardage wise, probably in the 20s. But when it comes to the efficiency of it, I think we have a chance to be maybe in the top, maybe about 9 in the efficiency rating of it, about 9 of it, about 9 ranked spot for that, I should say. Is there anything else we need or the receiving or not? We're just going to leave that on, right?
No, I was going to ask Ashley too, but before I ask her, I was just going to say I agree with Garnett. I'm going to say we rank somewhere around 20 in the yards. I think Lamar will throw for about 3,800, something like that. We're going to have a preview predictions show coming up. That's what our show is going to be based on in a couple of Wednesdays. But yeah, I feel like that's that's not the basis of our offense. We'll probably be around 20 when it comes to yardage. But when it comes to efficiency stats, that's where I want to be in the top 10. There's no excuse for us to not be because our passes are going to Mark Andrews. I want to see Lamar up around 68% completion percentage. When he's throwing to Andrews, it should be around, and likely it should be around 75%. And Prochet, it should be around 75% of the passes completed. When you go outside to Bateman, that number comes down to about 60. And that's how you get to your 68%. So that would be my prediction. Ashley, do you agree with us? Or are you going to take it in another direction?
No, I think we're all on the same page with this. Lamar is a pretty efficient passer. He has some good targets. So I think in efficiency, we should be top 10, top 12, somewhere around there. And then for the yardage, yeah, that we're still going to rely on that run game. And there's nothing ultimately wrong with that. I don't really care about ranking specifically in passing if we're winning games.
That's what I'm saying, because really, like if you look at that 2019 team, for example, and I don't think 2019 is coming back anytime soon. I think that's a pipe dream. That everything went right. But the reason I'm bringing it up is when you go 14-2 and you start jumping on teams, there's no reason for you to start throwing the ball. I mean, Lamar was sitting out fourth quarters. Bro, you're not going to be up there in passing yards. So if you're looking at, oh, they're the worst passing team because they're worse than passing yards, that's not the way it goes. If you have the lead all the time and you're running out the clock most of the fourth quarter, shortening the game, your passing yards aren't going to look good. But Lamar also led the league with 36 touchdowns that year. So that just goes to show you efficiency and yardage are two different things. And when we do our during the season, when we bring up the rankings, Garnett will tell you, Jake Vogel will tell you, we go by yards per attempt. Okay, so like when it comes to rushing yards, what's your yards per carry? When it comes to passing yards, what's your yards per pass attempt? I think that is the truest stat when it comes down to how good of a passing team you are. The average time you drop back, how many yards are you getting? So those are the numbers we'll use on this show. So we're going to be wrapping up kind of soon, but I did want to ask, what are you guys looking for preseason game 3? I don't think mine's easy. I don't think we're going to see a lot from anybody. I just want to see health. I don't need to see anything from anybody else. I would love to see the receivers get involved more. Give those receivers 20 targets at least among all of them, especially Bridges and Polk. Ashley, how about you?
Yeah, I want to see closer to the first game in terms of the wide receiver involvement. But other than that, especially because it's against the Commanders, I just want everyone to come out healthy. We don't need to see, people who've solidified their place on the roster. We don't need to see them, or we don't need to see them for long in the game.
Yeah, I think you made a beautiful tweet earlier this week or yesterday when we were talking about the disappointment of the receiver usage, Jason. So I think we're all in agreement when it comes to the whole just seeing more out of receivers. I want to see Huntley have a chance to take more vertical shots. I think he gets a bad rap for not being able to throw vertical because, like, literally, we don't throw that deep. For some reason, I know this might be trust issues or whatever, or with the coaches, or whatever. But at the end of the day, we don't really let it fly like that, man. And the last time you played the Washington Commanders, what happened? 5 touchdowns, right?
I think so. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so it's like the things where it's like there's been spots where we say, hey, man, let it rip. Then after that, it goes back to being conservative. So, but on defense, I want to see more Josh Ross, not John Ross. I want to see Isaiah Mack a little bit. I want to see Broderick Washington. Let him, obviously, especially with the Travis Jones, injury situation. I want to see what he can do. One player from the secondary I would like to see step up is Brandon Stevens, obviously. And we don't, the head injury for Armour Davis. I'm still want to see what he looks like.
Yeah, I'm bummed about that because Armour Davis, the reason he slipped, I mean, he's tall, he's fast, he's from Alabama, he's like everything you want in a cornerback. But the reason he slipped is because of injuries and lack of college production. The man comes here, man. Last Wednesday he banged his head. We were hoping he was going to be out for a couple of days and come right back, and he's still out a week later. So that's worrisome whenever you draft a player, again, with injury concerns, as we have, and now he's not on the field. Tanja said something here that I wanted to bring up because she actually dissented, and I love her comment here. Okay, she respectfully disagrees with us. If we run the ball and don't establish and practice a passing game, when we play in the playoffs and the run shut down, our receivers and Roman are lost. So she's saying beyond the wins and losses that we need to start practicing executing. And it wouldn't be, Tanja, I could see that because it's not past the petty hardball that we all know and love. to just keep, especially if we play the Bengals and get up. Geez, we could be up probably 30-0, and Harbaugh is going to try to score every single time on there. So I appreciate that, Tanja. We're usually on the same page. I see what you mean there. Like, practice executing, use the live games for reps. Don't just run on the ball and kill the clock. Let's see what we can do and have some faith in Lamar to close out the game himself. Some other questions. Health is wealth. Yuri, he's looking for Sam Howell to end the streak. We got Coach DC, Ross, Harrison, Welch are in a battle, even though not in the same position. They may get a lot of reps. I agree, Coach. I mean, we have nobody else. I mean, look, bring it up one more time. But yeah, so Bynes ain't going to play. Queen ain't going to play. Harrison might. It's going to be with the Welch, Ross, and Zacoby McClain show at linebacker, battling it out. We were talking earlier, Coach. We love what we see from Josh, not John Ross. Man, just the coverage, man. I love coverage linebackers. They're so important in the game today, Ashley. So we are in our final thoughts era. Here we go. So final thoughts, either the game this week, the season overall, anything else we covered in the show. Garnett West, you are a seasoned veteran of many podcasts. Sir, I would like to ask you to start here. What are your final thoughts on this Wednesday?
Final thoughts for me, man. Hopefully, all the players are doing good. Everybody's enjoying each other. Because this roster's about to get real slim, real fast. Just to cut that out, get it cut. But anyway, my biggest thing, I'm just ready to see just the next level of certain players, like how we just talked about, communication, execution, and really just for the guys that are undrafted, I want to see just be dogs out there, play like your hair is on fire, and just this is an opportunity, especially for the receiving group as a whole. Like, hey, this is an open market right now. You can claim a house in this foundation on this foundation. So yeah, for real, put that stake in the ground, say it's yours. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, that's where I'm at right now. I think these guys will be ready when was Saturday when we play, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, sure. Saturday when we play, I think these guys will be ready. Like I said, none of us care about this streak. We can start this right now. Hashtag don't care about the streak, or how we want to phrase it. I'll leave that to Ashley because he's more catchy than me with this. But yeah, man, that's how I feel, man. Just everybody ball out and play like it's the last game, and I don't care about the streak. Air it out, Huntley. Air it out.
Go ahead, Ashley. I'm typing.
I do like a moral victory. I'm not gonna lie. I do like the number 22, but I wouldn't be upset if it comes to an end. If it comes to an end, then we can stop the discussions and we won't have to hear about it going into the next preseason. So I'm prepared for it to happen. Just like we said, I just want everyone to be healthy going into the game, going into the regular season, and keeping as many of those guys healthy throughout the year. I want a complete opposite of last year because we were deprived of seeing so many great players together.
Is that accurate? Is that an official tag on Twitter? Like,
yeah, right.
Garnett don't care about the streak.com, bro. You should say put a website or something on that. Well said, Ashley. I was paying attention and typing, which is tough for me, but I was paying attention. Just get healthy, and the bragging rights in the streak. Yeah, I could see it, man. But I'm kind of with Garnett on that one. So, yeah, in fact, I was kind of actively rooting against it last week. And then my sis puts me on blast. I compliment Trace McSorley on the program, saying he's a borderline top 30 quarterback. And then where the Ravens shut him down, and then my little sis at the bottom on Twitter, Garnett. What kind of crap was that, bro?
Hey, that's good, man. She's keeping it real. Keeping it real goes on, I guess. I don't know. But hey, so I gotta explain Yuri in here. So the reason why he likes Sam Howell, he's a huge UNC fan. So that explains the love because he came from UNC. Well, yeah, man.
Okay, there was an agenda.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, see, you guys and your college teams, man. I'm so tired of hearing about the U and Jake, especially. He's the worst with the Georgia Bulldogs. Ashley, do you have a college team, ma'am?
I do. My family were Auburn fans. I have a lot of relatives go to Auburn, so it's just because
So
you
that
don't like SEC teams. That's the difference.
no, it's just because they're all just play. I look at them like who's going to be a Raven? Who's going to be a Raven? Percy wanted to say what's up, man. Love you, brother. Thank you for checking in. I really appreciate you, Percy. Um, yeah, yeah. What a good show, though, man. We had some great contributions. Yeah, with some just great contributions and conversations. Somebody recognized me by the back of my head, which was a little weird. Yeah, I exposed myself, the back of my head for the camera. Get your mind out of the gutter, guard. Our sister is listening, and other women out there. Don't be that. Don't.
I mean,
But yeah, hopefully you guys come back, join us next Wednesday, 8:30. We'll be here live every week throughout the season. I also wanted to mention that this coming Tuesday, so man, 6 days away, that roster getting cut down to 53. So on Tuesday, we're going to know who the Ravens were able to sneak in, through the side door and keep, and how they're able to mold this roster and try to get all those players on that we were highlighting earlier. It's a pretty deep group. I would think that any Ravens fan can say, all right, we're missing receiver. I'm mad about that. All right, Grave Roman, I'm mad about that. All right, we're thin on the edge. I'm mad about that. But when you look at like the team overall, it's a deep team, man. Like it could be any one of these guys stepping up. Like Duvernay could surprise us, or we could have like Ben Cleveland come out of nowhere and grab the left. Like there's a lot of upside and depth everywhere on this team. We just need Garnett's guy street clothes to come through, bro. We need street clothes to come through. And it sucks. It sucks. I mean, he's just such a great player at the most important position on the team, which is guarding the most important person on the team in Lamar Jackson. We need Mr. Street Clothes Stanley on the field. So with that, I'm going to say good night. I want to say thank you. We got donations in here and everything. The comments. I love y'all. LBHT crew, all the other content creators that came through. Just big thank you to you guys to come through and check that out. Jose and Brodney, good. I mean, it was great to go in their stream. With that, I just say I love my football family. Thank you to my football family. Garnett, Ashley, time to say goodbye to the people.
Peace.
Have a good night.
Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs. Good night, guys.
Yep.